Welcome to 52 Miniatures. Today I'm going to try and sculpt in epoxy putty. I need to change an orc into a pirate orc, and I'm no sculptor. The most I've done is gap filling or maybe try and make a strap here and there. And I'm filming this live, so to speak. I haven't even started yet, and so welcome, possibly, to failure. So first, some preparations. We obviously need epoxy putty. The most common and known about is green stuff. I've got some right here. There's also something called milliput. Now, after some research and trying it a few times, apparently green stuff stays kind of a little sticky even after it's cured. It's a little bit soft, whereas milliput dries sort of rock solid but is more difficult to sculpt. And so a lot of people kind of mix the two, half and half milliput with green stuff. So we're going to try and do something like that. I also need sculpting tools. I've tried sculpting a little bit, as I said, and I find all of these tools, that I bought like in a craft store, kind of difficult to handle. I'm going to keep them around, but honestly, I'm more kind of comfortable with toothpicks. And so I might just shape some toothpicks, and I have a sharp one, have a blunt one, and go with that. We also obviously need the miniature. I've got it right here, and a plan. So let's take a look at what we should be doing. So this is the miniature. It's rather tiny, to be honest, but it's our foundation for the Orc Pirate. The body is a Wargames Atlantic Minuteman kit. It's got that Napoleonic era style, and then there's a 3D printed orc head on there. To make him piratey, he's actually supposed to be a sailor, but if you're an orc, then obviously you become a pirate. You can't just be a sailor. What do pirates have? They have a hook. So we need to remove the hand and build a hook somehow. Also, a wooden leg is kind of obligatory. And then there's the question about the head, the hat. Like the old style sort of piratey, hat is maybe a bit more for officers or something like that. Your chief pirate, the rest of them probably just wore whatever they wanted on their head. But I've been doing a little bit of digging, and sort of around the time, sort of Napoleonics, what naval people in the Navy were wearing, and they seem to have been wearing some kind of top hats. And so I guess we should try sculpt a top hat. But let's start with a hook. I think that's the least terrifying thing to start with. There's two things I've been able to decipher that might make my sculpting life a little bit easier. I've never tried these myself, but the first is to make an armature. So not only using putty, but building on top of an armature. The second is to mix the putty and let it set for a little while, so that it becomes a bit harder and is, a bit more workable. So first off, we're going to mix some epoxy putties. So I've got 4 little balls here. This is the green stuff, that's about half and half. This is the milliput, half and half. Now you might wonder, well, why do I want it to be harder and not soft? Why not just use only green stuff? Well, apparently with the milliput, because it becomes harder, it's then possible to actually sand it down afterwards. So if I want something really smooth, then that's possible when adding the milliput. I guess we'll see. But I then mix the green stuff, and then mix the milliput, and then mix the two together. And then we've got our putty. Sort of forgot. Some people get a bit of a rash from touching epoxy putties, especially milliput, and so you can always use gloves like these ones. If you're using your fingers, or if you get it on your fingers, having some like hand sanitizer around, because you can easily clean your hands using hand sanitizer because of the alcohol in there. Now, epoxy putties, it's like a epoxy glue. There's two parts, you mix them together, it becomes a clay, and because it cures by a chemical reaction, it doesn't actually shrink when it cures. So it's not like a air drying clay that'll shrink and sort of crack. This will just cure without shrinking. I'm not 100% sure on curing times. I don't know, half an hour, a bit more. I guess we'll find out. So I've cut out this armature for the claw out of thin plastic, and I should now just cut the hand off and glue the claw on. And I guess I might as well remove the leg while we're at it. Ouch. I've got the claw armature in place, and I figured I might as well do the leg armature as well. And what better to use than wood for the wooden leg? I grabbed a toothpick, and I guess Bob's your uncle, even if you're an orc. Okay, I'm nervous. Okay, I've got him stuck on a bit of a stand for the camera, but also just stuck in blue tack just to make sure he's kind of stuck a little bit, so it doesn't move around too much. And let's sculpt the claw. So we need something just around the edge here, sort of where the claw is stuck to whatever little piece of hand is still there. Now some people use Vaseline, I think. I'm just going to use water for when you don't want the green stuff to stick to your tool. Oh. You know, you see people like on Instagram, especially around sort of golden demon times, of the detailed kind of work they do. It's bollocks. That's all I have to say. I feel like I'm at kindergarten. The most difficult thing so far is like reducing the amount of green stuff. It feels like there's way too much on here, but at least it's on. And I'm going to try and shape it. So if we have a look, this needs like a separating line here somehow. And this turd needs to look like an edge. And by sort of carefully rolling this, whoop, there goes the point. Oh, this is not my thing. I don't even know why I'm doing this. I should just have 3D printed a claw hook thing. So I'm trying to shape edges to make it resemble something made out of metal. And it's a good thing I'm working on an orc, as it seems whatever I do looks like it's made by the hands of an orc. As it turns out, the most difficult thing is knowing when to stop, because I was just going to fix this one little thing and then kind of ruined it and had to redo it a little bit. But this sort of using a brush with water on, at least kind of smoothens out the texture. And now I should just leave it. I mean, it's claw-like, at least. Now let's see if I can get that leg going. Trying to make this sort of padded section where the wooden leg meets the knee was a lot easier than making a claw, I can tell you. Especially now that the green stuff is starting to harden quite a bit, I can sort of actually get some shapes in there, and it's not looking too shabby at all. Surprised. I've got this painting mat that I know is actually silicone. Green stuff doesn't stick to silicone, so I figured if I try and roll out something really thin. See, I've got this really thin piece now. It's really easy, and hopefully I can just cut strips. Oh, I hate this stupid green stuff. The plan was sound, it's just not sticking. I got it to stick. I think there was just too much water on it. I realized that when doing these straps, right, say you'd be doing different straps all over a body, or like for a backpack or something, rolling it out, cutting a strip, then pliers are really handy to, you know, snip off where the edges meet. That's a pretty decent wooden leg. I'm so much more pleased with that than with the claw, to be honest. Especially at a distance, it's fine. Hat. I've decided to do more of a soft hat. I've been looking at some more images, and there's these just kind of like woolly soft hats that I think would look nice, but also I feel that sort of the more sort of forgiving textures and shapes is maybe the way to go, and not a sort of solid top hat. I had to mix some new green stuff. The old one is way too hard by now. And so let's just make a woolly little hat. I don't think there's a need for any armature this time. I'm just going to add a cone like that. Make sure it sticks, and try and shape it into a floppy cone-shaped hat. Now, actually shaping that wasn't very difficult. I think the most important thing is trying to make sure there's distinct edges, separating it from the head so it doesn't get sort of mistaken for just being a head continuing up into this weird cap. It's maybe not super piratey, but I just like the look of it. So I'm just going to leave this now. I need to go pick up my kid from school and then be back tomorrow when this is, you know, completely fully cured, and see how the whole sanding thing works, if it works, and see if I can shape up that claw. I'll be back. Hi. Yeah, it's the next day. It's getting really chilly out there. It's like -7 degrees Celsius. Anyway, I've got nail files and some of these sort of sandpaper strip things. And let's see if I can try and make this hook look like a little bit more edged, a little bit more like metal. I've got a piece of yesterday's epoxy putty here, and I mean, it looks like it's pretty fileable. It's a little bit soft, like maybe there should have been a little bit more milliput in it, but I can still file away at that pretty heavily. So this should work. So what I hope for is, you know, straight edges. And a pointy hook. And this just works really well. I'm a bit surprised. It feels like I'm in control for the first time of this entire endeavour. And these needle files, I got this is from when I was like a kid and there was only metal models. I think my dad got me these. Still got them, still work fine. And there's all these different shapes, like this is a round one. This is, you know, different angles, different shapes, really handy. And this kind of is claw enough for me right now. I decided as last thing to try and add some bolts to the metal shoe of the wooden leg. I drilled a hole just to have somewhere to put a very, very small ball of green stuff. And it doesn't stick, and it's way too big. Okay. That was fail. It was such a good idea. So instead, I'll just squeeze it in there and try and shape it a little bit to look like a bolt. Kind of works. And with that, I'm done. It's not perfect, you know, but it kind of looks like a claw, kind of looks like a hat, and it pretty much looks like a wooden leg. Now, I'm going to give this maybe a few more plastic details, like a backpack or something, and then prime it so we can see the sculpting, with some paint on, because it probably looks maybe not better, but maybe we can see if it looks like it's part of the model or not. Now, obviously, this video wasn't about teaching you how to sculpt because, this was kind of my first time. But I wanted to share just, maybe what you can expect from trying it out. I think there's a lot of potential fun and anger involved. The only things that I picked up is mixing in green stuff with Milliput, so you can file it afterwards. I probably should have added more Milliput than the 50-50 mix, at least for the claw, so that I could do an even better sort of set. It was still a bit sort of bendy. And to be honest, I only paint with these glasses that hardly do anything. But for this kind of work, I'd probably recommend some kind of magnifying thing. I think that would have helped me a lot. In retrospect, I probably should have been wearing just a bit of a mask when sanding the epoxy putty, something to consider. But otherwise, go for it. If you need a wooden leg, just some bits and pieces here and there. I'd probably start with soft things. Like the claw was tricky, but the hat was kind of simple. And so was the sort of soft padding around the wooden leg. So something to consider. And yeah, waiting for it to dry and then sand down, or working in stages, doing a little bit, waiting for it to dry, and then maybe add more bits. And having something to work around. The armature was super helpful with the claw. I wouldn't have managed without it. And that's it. Thank you for watching. And if you're interested to know more about this orc and what I'm going to use it for, you can check out the series linked above, which is about my orc warband and what I'm making them for. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I almost forgot the last tip. Pay attention when you're sculpting things, so that you don't kind of sculpt the claw the wrong way around, so that it's pointing up instead of down, which would make sense and look so much better.